Hi guys. I forgot to switch to the logo thing, so let's just restart this off again here. Hang on a second. Be right back. Hi YouTube, and we're back. Hang on. Center this thing up, and we will go grab our friends over on Twitch here. I think we need a little bad action. Yeah, there we go. Just 1 second. That was impressive. Hi everybody, welcome to the Stratosphere Studio. I'm your host, Bill Whittle. It is the 21st of July, 2025. Hope everybody's doing well. Glad to be here on a Monday night. Just getting myself a little set up here. Always doing some last minute tests, you know, that kind of thing. So, this is terrible. You know, for artificial intelligence, sometimes it's not very intelligent. But anyway, just playing around with stuff. We may have found the problem with the website signup, so in a few minutes when we get the room a little more filled up, we might I might ask for you know, like 5 volunteer beta testers, and we'll do this in real time because if I'm right, the answer was the solution might be really simple. So we'll find out. Let me just get my Windows set up here. All right, here we go. So I hope everybody's doing well. I went to see Superman last Thursday night, and yes, Roadrunner, you can, because I didn't think it'd go through last time. And boy, oh boy, I wasn't much impressed. I don't want to. I mean, it's going to be a spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. That I need to keep open. Hang on a second. Just wrapping up a couple things here. One more window and we're good to go. Yeah, it was, like I said, spoiler alerts. It was really quite, like, shockingly bad. It wasn't woke, at least not noticeably. It was just dumb and unmemorable, and you know, nothing. I mean, just really nothing there. Sorry, hang on a second. I know I'm just a little scattered here as usual. Give me 1 second here. It was, and I knew we were in trouble right from the beginning. The the very first scene, Superman gets knocked unconscious or knocked out practically, and he calls his dog Crypto, and he's lying there in the snow. He's been knocked into the Antarctic wastes or something, and the dog comes up to him, and he says, "Crypto, Crypto, take me home." And then finally, the dog, after an endless amount of like fooling around, finally the dog says, starts dragging him by the cape, and I thought, okay, he's going to fly him home. And no, he dragged him home, which was about, I don't know, 50 yards. He landed 50 yards away from home, you know? And I thought, okay. And then you go into the Fortress of Solitude, and they've got these robots that you're supposed to care about. The first thing out of the mouth of the robots is, "We have no feelings, sir. We appear to be caring for you, and we appear to be looking after you, but we have no feelings. We're just complete artificial intelligences." And so that whole thing, goes away. You're supposed to feel sorry for these things later when they get destroyed. There's no interaction with Lois Lane. She's just a complete nothing burger. They're already hooked up, probably found each other on Tinder, and it looks like they've been dating for maybe 2 weeks. Clark has told her everything, and after he's told her everything, and she's fully aware that Clark Kent is Superman, then she says, "I just don't know if relationships are really for me." Smart play there, Clark. Be sure to give her your secret identity right off the bat, because she looks like the kind of chick who lasts 6 days in a relationship and then bails out. Everything about it was just really, really, really dumb. The opening credits posit that a race of metahumans, that's what they called them, have been on Earth for a long time. Superman's basically just the latest arrival. There's like a Justice League thing with Green Lantern and two other horrible characters that make you wonder why Superman's even in the film, and it's just plain dumb. It's really, really, really dumb. I mean, it's just dumb and very, very unmemorable. But the thing that I remember the most is just how completely cardboard Lois was. I didn't think I'd like the guy who played Superman, because I don't think he really looks kind of like what I would think Superman looked like. I actually thought he was fine, but Lex Luthor is horribly miscast. He's fighting Superman because he's got this legion of flying robots, or flying super soldiers. No one's really ever sure, and he's calling out commands to them, like, Clark's going to do this, or Superman's going to do so. He's like, B-19, J-24, A-6, E-14, and he's just shouting into this thing. He's watching all these things going on with all these monitors, and he finally, he calls out like, B-17, and I just say, bingo. It was just dumb. These two hypothetical countries are cartoon leader of the hypothetical Russia with like hair out to here, and just all of it was bad. But the part that was really super offensive and soul destroying was the way, well, two things. First of all, the way they treated the Kents, Jonathan and Martha Kent. They're portrayed as the lowest of the low of trailer park trash. Honestly, towards the end of this thing, I really thought that Clark's father, that Jonathan Kent, yeah, I said bingo out loud in the theater. I absolutely did. I thought that towards the end of this thing, he was going to come out of his little trailer home and basically say, "Ma, do we use the corn cob before or after we take a crap?" That kind of stupid. Ma Kent says, "Honey, there's something on the box," meaning the television. The contempt that they have for rural people, for everyday Americans, just fat, stupid stupid, stupid, stupid people. Stupid, stupid people. And probably the worst of it is Clark gets to the Fortress of Solitude, where he's got these inexplicable robots that are there to help him. It look just really dumb. And there's a message from his parents, his Kryptonian parents, and they basically say, "Well, Clark, have a great trip, right if you can, that kind of thing." So they've got like one sentence or two sentences, and it's something like, "Clark, we're sending you to Earth because, um, uh, it's a good home for you and so on, and the people there are they need guidance and so on." And then the plot twist is that they're static, like the message is corrupted. So Lex Luthor brings his top warrior in, who's a 5'6", lesbian of color, with shaved head and dreadlocks, and she interfaces with the computer, because of course, and she recovers the message, and it turns out that the message from Jor-El is and Superman's mom and father from Krypton, that the message is, you have been sent to Earth to conquer the planet and to start a harem of thousands of women so that you can spread your super genes across the Earth, and you and your descendants will rule Earth forever. And I thought, okay, so this is what they're showing to the media, and everybody hates Superman all of a sudden. And I thought, at the end of this, they will show that what Luthor showed to the people was actually edited down of a much longer speech but no, they don't do that. Jor-El sends Kal-El to Earth to conquer Earth, subjugate it, and breed a race of super beings that will rule the Earth. They never take it back. That's just a lazy plot twist that they needed. They needed something that looked bad on film to make Superman look bad, because the whole film is about social score. It's all about how well you're perceived, or what's your public image. And Superman gets depressed and decides he won't be Superman anymore, and they never undo it. They never undo it. So here's the thing about, I'm not a big comic book guy, but some of these things I get, and I get Superman pretty well. Superman is a fusion. I mean, to say that it's a Christ figure is to state the absolutely most obvious, but basically, Superman is the product of his heavenly father and his earthly father, and they got it exactly right in the 1978 movie, where Jonathan Kent is what it is who instills morals into Clark. It's Jonathan Kent. Superman is Superman because of Jonathan Kent. And Jonathan Kent in this movie is a big, fat, balding dodo. And when he's talking, he's doing this with his eyes. I thought he was brain damaged. And so Jonathan Kent becomes a joke. He's just a joke, and a disgusting joke. And then Kal-El, who's supposed to be his heavenly father, Jor-El rather, supposed to be his heavenly father, is supposed to provide the motivation, right? The education. So Jor-El is the propeller, and Jonathan Kent is the rudder. And it's just plain awful for both of them. Jonathan Kent is a just dumb as dirt hillbilly. He's not even a farmer near as I can tell. He's just a redneck. And talking about going to down where they had the great burritos. And then his heavenly father, Jor-El, is basically a tyrant who sent his super son to conquer the earth and rule them forever. And it's just like, you people don't understand anything about what Superman is. Superman is unlimited power, and he's restrained only by his own sense of decency, and that sense of decency is put into him by Jonathan Kent. And you contrast that with the 1978 movie, with that incredible scene where he's, where teenage Clark is being laughed at. He's the water boy for the football team, and and he's got this crush on these girls, and he's just kind of a loser, and he has to. They're all going out to party and have fun. He has to stay there and clean up, and put the equipment away and all that jazz. And he runs home and he races the train and all the rest of it just to get the frustration out. And Jonathan Kent comes walking down the long driveway from the farm. He puts his arm around his son and he says, "Son, I know that this is hard for you. I know that we both know that you could score a touchdown every time you get your hands on the ball, that there's nothing beyond you." And then he says, "But I believe God didn't put you here to score touchdowns. I think you're here for a bigger reason than that." And you see teen Clark decompress and understand the point that Jonathan's making. And just in that one little scene, you get the entire idea of Superman, get the entire idea that he is a god and he is only restrained by the decency of Jonathan Kent, basically. Jonathan and Martha. Where'd my, sorry, one of the chat thing I have to put over here. Sorry, 1 second, I'm missing some of the chats. So there's that. And then, it's just dumb. It's dumb. And Rich says, "How much of this is a generational thing where younger audiences just don't believe in perfect paragons, that everybody has to be flawed to be believable?" Well, there's no saving redemptive grace on either Jonathan Kent or Jor-El. None of them. They're just plain awful people. But the larger point, I think, is true. We're not going to ever see a Superman that's as good as the 78 movie, because the country was innocent enough back then that it didn't have to comment on it, didn't have to knock it down. I want to show you something here. Hang on, it's going to take me a second to get it, but it's amazing. And again, there's no back and forth with Lois. There's none of that banter. There's none of that play. There's nothing about her that's remotely attractive. She's not that good looking. She's not a great reporter. She wears jeans and a t-shirt all the time. She's kind of nasty. She's unstable. I don't know if the relationships are really for me. It's like, oh, well, great. I'm glad I just revealed, my secret identity, from Krypton and all the rest of it. Horrible. Hang on, I just got to find this thing to show you here. Where did it go? Here, hold on. Here it is. Yeah. So I got to show you something just to give you an idea of how far they've fallen. This is going to be a clip from the original, from this 78 Superman. This is my favorite clip from the 78 Superman. Maybe the ending, where he says, "Well, thanks to me, Warden, we're all part of the same team." I'm like, that's so beautiful. Let me take a look at this. In 1 second. Because it gives you an idea of just what a great actor Christopher Reeve was, and not just what a great actor he was, but just how he made it work, just how innocent he is. Hang on. Come on, please, just don't make me do this all night long. Okay, good. I think this is probably my favorite movie moment in the movie. Check this out. This is amazing. It's going to be low res. I'll try and up res the window. Okay, so this is a scene where Superman has just taken Lois for a fly through the sky. Right? He's just he in the first frame of it, you'll see him flying off into the distance. And 23 seconds later, that's what the countdown clock is, or something. The doorbell rings, and it's Clark Kent at Lois's apartment. Clark has asked Lois out for a date. Okay? And he's fumbling and bumbling, Clark Kent, and he's stammering. He's just 20 seconds earlier, he's just flown her around the world, right? Now he comes back in order to seal the idea that he can't possibly be Superman. And then Lois goes into the bedroom to pick up a coat, and then Clark Kent has to decide whether or not to tell Lois Lane that he's Superman. And watch what happens with just plain acting skill, body language, posture, and all of that. Just watch the transformation from this clod into this god. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Oh God, I hate it. I hate this bloody thing. Hang on a second, YouTube. Hang on. I'm trying to make that bigger for you. Okay, here it comes. Here comes Twitch. Just watch this scene.
We forgot to time ourselves.
Wait till they get inside.
Well, maybe next time. We forgot to time ourselves. Well, maybe next time.
Oh.
You okay?
Uh-huh.
Well, good night. You okay?
Oh, good night.
Well, good night.
Oh, good night. Superman. Superman.
The counter is for the amount of time it takes for Clark Kent to appear.
Hi, can I come in?
Oh, yeah.
Lois, for goodness sake, didn't you hear me knocking? Hi, can I come in?
Oh, yeah.
Lois, we did have a date. Lois, remember? For goodness sake, didn't you hear me knocking?
Uh-huh.
Lois?
Now they're about
Lois,
10
we,
seconds out of phase,
did
so I'm
have a
going
date
to
tonight.
Oh,
Remember?
no.
talk to the YouTube audience
Sure,
first.
well done.
And I'll
Well,
talk to the
Lois,
Twitch
let's,
audience.
you
I'm only going
gotta
to say
go,
one
shall
word.
we?
I better get a coat.
Well, sure. Okay. Well,
No.
let's push off, shall we?
I better get a coat.
Okay, YouTube, here it comes. Watch him carefully. Okay, Twitch, here it comes. Watch him carefully.
Lois, there's something I have to tell you. I'm really... Lois,
I mean,
something I
I
have to
was,
tell you.
at first,
I'm really...
nervous about tonight. But then I decided I was. Darn it, I was going to show you the time of your life. Nervous about
It's
tonight.
Clark, nice.
But then I decided, well, darn it, I was going to show you the time of your life. For a
It's
hamburger.
Clark, nice.
I was thinking maybe we could go for a hamburger or whatever.
See, that's magic. That's just magic. That's what makes it work.
We forgot to
Yeah,
time
sorry
ourselves.
about there's like a delay there, but I just didn't have the
Well,
volume
maybe
down.
next time.
Yeah, Eric says the scene perfectly conveys how Clark can hide his identity as well. It's not just the glasses; it's how he carries himself. Versus Clark as Cal. Look how he straightens upward. It's like he gains 3. Well, he does. He gains 3 inches. And his shoulders go, and then he gains another inch or 2 when he really straightens up. And I don't know, man. I just thought it was great.
Superman.
David Boutte says Roger Moore saw Christopher Reeve dressed both as Clark Kent and Superman. Ladies were fainting when he was in the cape and tights. No one was looking twice at him when he was Clark.
Hi.
Yeah, it's just,
Oh, yeah.
it's not, it's just great acting, all of that.
For goodness
And
sake,
the
you
actor
didn't
who was
knocking?
in the new Superman, I'm not saying he couldn't have pulled it off. What I'm saying, that what they did was, in the new Superman, they said, "Oh, tell us about these hypnotic glasses you have, Clark,"
Oh, no.
Well, sure.
because she's already in on it. There's no, we start the movie like the second or third scene
No.
is Clark and Lois making out in Lois's apartment or Clark's apartment. I don't remember which. Lois's. I don't even care. So they're just making out, and all of that banter and all of that play and all of that. Is she going to guess it? And and so on. It's just, you know, it's gone. It's just not even there. Nathan Fillion is in the movie as Green Lantern,
Something I have to tell you.
not wearing a mask
I'm
with
really-
a Mo Howard haircut, and
I mean,
you
I
know,
was,
and
at first.
I mean,
really
it's
nervous
just
about
plain,
tonight.
it's just awful,
But then I
awful.
decided, well,
Sun
darn
Wukong
it,
says
I was
also
gonna show you the
Superman
time
5
of
is
your
pretty
life.
good too.
That's
Yeah,
Clark Knight.
well, all of them have moments, but this this to me
Maybe we could go
was
for a
just,
hamburger or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know. I just I don't know. Info 42 says, ever see the second pilot of Star Trek? Remember what happens to Kirk's best friend when he gains absolute power? Yes. Gary, what's his character's name? Played Frank Poole on
Forgot to
2001.
well, maybe next time.
But that's the thing, man. They can't just Gary Mitchell, thank you. They can't just make the movie and be true to it, because
You okay?
we're way too sophisticated for that now. You know?
Night.
Oh, good night.
Eric says the Green Lantern in the movie is an actual character from the comic, Guy Gardner, a Green Lantern who's an arrogant schmuck. Well, let's put an arrogant schmuck in the movie to take most of the fighting away from Superman, so that Superman can sulk and be wounded and be helpless in a cage for half the movie. Just terrible, terrible. The CG monsters were just like jokes, and I just, you know.
Hi.
He's got this little baby,
Oh, yeah.
and he's drowning in this river of, you know,
Oh, it's-
anti-protons.
Didn't you hear me knocking?
He's trying to protect the baby.
well,
Baby
it's
disappears
because
under the
it's
waves
a
of these
baby,
radioactive
remember?
anti-protons. Oh, baby's, you know, a little alien baby
You have
from a character who can turn into any
well, certainly
into
not.
any mineral.
Well,
So he
let's,
turns into
push on,
kryptonite,
shall we?
makes his hand kryptonite,
I better get a coat.
disables Clark, and then when they're trying to escape, he turns himself into a jet engine.
I need a person to fix my hair.
And Clark is pulling because they're about to be dragged into a black hole. So this alien guy who's got a jet engine on his back now, and Superman, using all of his flying powers, are trying to escape the black hole, but they're getting pulled in. And as they're getting closer and closer and closer, Superman uses his super breath, which provides the extra thrust needed
There's something I have
to
to
get
tell
out
you.
of the black hole. So
I'm really-
all of Superman's ability to fly, not enough. Throw in the
I was at first
Off he
really
goes.
nervous about tonight. But then I decided,
It's just-
well, darn it, I was going to show you the time of your life.
That's Clark Knight.
I just
I
was
was thinking maybe
really
we could go for a
shocked
hamburger.
at how appalling it was. Anyway, enough about that. Here's the latest on the never-ending story called the plugin for the website. We're here over the weekend as usual, and Superman is still playing in the background. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. That get it? I just want to make sure I got the audio. Is that? Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, my fault. Yeah, Powdered Toast Man. I miss Powdered Toast Man. I thought Powdered Toast Man was awesome. Okay, so here's what we think might be happening. As I said, you know, we have a programmer developing this plugin that talks to the online bank and so on. And a couple weeks ago, I said, looks like it's fixed. Can you guys do, like, if you're interested in becoming a member, can you log on? And we had like 15 people, and none of them went through. None of them worked. We think we found the problem. On the plugin, Natasha was here, and we tried to set up an account with her email and her credit card numbers, because they were completely separate. And I've done so many test names that I don't think that Google will let me have any more test accounts. So what we did was we entered a password. It wasn't cabbage, but for the sake of the argument, let's say it was. capital CABBAGE, cabbage. Entered this, hit the button, nothing. And needless to say, I wasn't happy about that. So, refresh the browser. This time, I entered the password cabbage 123 pound, and that time I hit the button, and the second I hit that, it took us directly to a membership page at billwhittle.com. She instantly got a confirmation email, and I went to the online bank Recurly, and everything had worked perfectly. The plugin had worked perfectly. So when you go to the registration page at billwhittle.com, at the password field, it's kind of grayed out, but it says the password must consist of an uppercase. It must be 8 characters, an uppercase letter, a lowercase, and that's where it cuts off, and at least one number. So cabbage failed, but cabbage 123 pound worked, and it wasn't the pound; it was the numerals. So if I could get 3 to 5 volunteers to do a sign up, we will cancel the memberships first thing tomorrow morning. Even if you wanted to become a member, we'll still cancel it, and then if you want to, you can sign up again. But I want to walk you through this. I just want to, if I could just get 3 to 5 people, I want to walk people through it. I can check the online bank. I can do all of these things, and if it turns out it's working, then finally we got this thing solved. We've figured out what the problem is. If you're not a member, or you're willing to set up, if you have a second email account or something, you're willing to help us test this, really appreciate it. And as I said, we will delete those accounts first thing in the morning so that you don't get charged for them or refunded, or take care of it that way. Have we got any volunteers out there? Because I need to do this step by step. Okay, Roadrunner, hang on a second. He says he's got the membership form filled out. Fiery Waco, Deporter in Chief. Okay. It's probably enough. First of all, let me put the and Steve Young, and one more. Yeah, we don't get an error if it's an insufficient password. That's one of the programming problems. So hang on, we're going to do it step by step. So everybody, just hold on. Don't get ahead of yourselves here. I guess that'll do it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the again. We're going to walk it through. We're going to walk it through. And uptick Mick, thank you. There you go. So here comes the link to the page, and I'll pin that. That's in Twitch. Hang on a second, YouTube. So again, we're going to do this one step at a time. It's really important we do it one step at a time, because I really want to make sure we get this. So we got our volunteers. If our volunteers would now please go to the link. And if you go to the link, you go to billwhittle.com, and you'll see me on a Tyrannosaurus. And then there are here are the fields. So again, walking through it, enter your email address. It can't be, we're testing the new plugin. So if you can help us with the test, you go to the link I just sent. And when you scroll down, the first field you'll see will be email address. If you are a member, it's got to be a different, P7 2017, that'd be great. If you go to the link, you enter an email address, but it can't be one that you've already got if you're already a member, okay? Password. Now the password, this is critical. This is the one thing we have to test. The password has to be 8 characters, at least 8 characters. It has to have an uppercase, a lowercase, and a numeral. That's it. Okay? 8 characters, at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, and at least one numeral. That's the critical thing on the password issue. Okay, and then on confirm password, obviously it's the same as what you just did. So one last time to recoup email address. Password has to be uppercase, one uppercase, at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, and at least one numeral. Confirm the password, and then your first name as it would appear on your credit card. The last name as it would appear on the credit card. And then the membership level. So everybody just select basic membership monthly for $9.95. No, it cannot be a Roman numeral. It has to be a numeral. Okay, you got to select a membership level, because I think the problem with the plugin is it's not in fact, I know the problem with the plugin is it's not rejecting incorrectly filled out entries. Okay, so first name as it appears on the credit card, last name as it appears on the credit card. Choose your membership level, and then it wants your credit card first name. I guess that's separate than what I just told you. Credit card last name. So first and last name could be for the BillWhittle.com thing. No Hindi characters, no, sorry. And then your credit card first name, credit card last name, zip code, the city that you live in. I'm going to get these reordered because it's out of, it should be name, address, city, state, and country. That's not the order they're in, but you can figure it out. So zip code, the city you live in, your address line, country defaults to the United States, pull down menu for the state. Okay. And then the card number, followed by the month, 4 digits for the year, and the CVC. It can actually have a non-numeric character, but for the sake of the test, I'd really just like at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, and at least one number has to be 8 characters or greater. Okay? Fiery Waco says, my name includes squiggles and dots, sir. I think they will work, but there has to be an uppercase, a lowercase, and at least one numeral. Okay? Okay. Darth Chuck says he tried to put in a pound sign and it was password fields were red until I removed them. I got it to work with a pound sign, but let's just not add any extra variables to this. Okay. So credit card number, the month, 2 digits, 4 digits for the year, and then the CVC. And then when you're ready, just hit become a member. And if it worked, it should take you to the membership page, and you should get an email at the email you just enrolled on. And if you could let me know when those things have happened, I will check the bank. We're going to fix all of that, Tranquility Base. I just want to know if this is the problem. If this was the problem, it's okay. If this was the problem, then it should show up on the online bank, and then we can make minor adjustments to the code. So just let me know when you've filled all that stuff out and click become a member, and then before you let me know, if you could check your email to make sure you got a confirmation email, that would make me very happy. Meanwhile, I will go to the bank. You know, Roadrunner, I'm not sure if I can. In fact, I don't think I can. I can't do it from here. Yes, you're supposed to log out first. This is just a test for a new email address. Roadrunner, I can't delete it from here. Yes. It's okay if we could just get one or two of them to work. I'd be pretty happy. Hey, there you go. We just got two that worked. We got. I'm just going to give the name that they gave. We got test member, and we got John, first name John. Uptick Mix says mine did not take. Do you know why? The last line is the credit card number, followed by the date, 2 for the month, 4 for the year, and then 3 digits for the CCV or whatever the thing is. But the fact that we have 2 successes is telling me that we're on the problem here. Yeah, you should be able to just tab through the field. So the card number goes in, and then you just put the cursor over put the cursor over, enter the 2 digits, and then it'll set you up for the 4 digits for the year. But having 2 of them go through, test member and John, you have succeeded at basic membership level. Be nice if we could get everybody, because I'm pretty sure this was it. Uptick Mick, if you already have an account, it won't work unless you use a different email address. It'll say you're already a member. P7 says I'm in. Again, got the email. Hooray. Uptick Mix says it's in my email. Yes. The good news is we have not gotten any black dots. So it looks like everybody's getting, like, the credit card information is being sent. Checking again. So far, we've just got the 2. Thank you, Steve. We're trying to see if this is the problem, and it's looking like it was the problem. The Porter Chief says tabbing let me fill in the 3 fields in the credit card box, but it's not letting me enter it. Yeah, I had that problem before too. Okay, so this guy's obviously got a lot of work to do. It's just kludgy. It's just really sloppy. Hey, there's another one. Waco. I'm going to call this a success, and I'm going to basically, yes, they're all green lights, which means that at the bank has got the credit card information. We'll cancel those tomorrow morning when Shelly comes in, and we'll refund your money. Okay, so here's what I think. I think this is the cause of the problem. The code for the plugin which is embedded on the registration page at billwhittle.com is very, very kludgy. It's like I had a problem too where I couldn't tab in, and then once I tabbed in, it wouldn't let me put the become a member thing. So, but the good news is that everybody that we did get, total of 3, is good. Got your membership status, and we've got so the bank did the thing, and you should have got a confirmation email. So I think. Yes, that's a truncated display. I agree completely, Steve. I can get this fixed probably overnight. But I think after a mere frickin' 2-3 months working on this thing, I think we actually found what the problem was, because we were getting most of them were failing, and then 1 or 2 of them wouldn't. Okay. This I am calling a success. We got 3 new signups and a couple people. Yes, and it's slow because the plugin is also having a problem communicating with other things. We're going to get the speed back as well. I worked on the speed first, and then they got the speed fixed, and then I found out that the plugin was not working. So we'll put the plugin. Then it got slow again. But yes, Darth Chuck the Merciless, incremental progress asymptotically approaches perfection. Okay, so this has been I'm going to call this a B+ success, because at least we're able to take people's money now. Now we just have to speed it up without doing that. I'm going to tell him to completely redo the embedded thing on the registration page, so that it's more logical, and that it rejects anything that's not going to work. And like I said, I tried to tab through something or added something, and then it wouldn't let me hit the members button. Once I made a mistake and tried to fix a mistake, it just grayed it out. But this is a big success. So tomorrow morning, we will cancel those memberships, and we will refund the money, and yes, C- for everybody else. I'm just happy we're seeing bank info. So, hooray. That's good news. All right. Thank you very much. Now we will go ahead and get to the questions. The problem, as I said, with intermittent failures is you can't. They're really hard to isolate. Just getting to the, yeah, it is really slow, man. The login is like crazy slow. Now I'm getting a site can't be reached. That's just peachy keen. Great. Error establishing a database connection. Well, that's just frickin' marvelous, isn't it? Yep, me too. Getting an error establishing a database connection. So I sign up 3 people and it crashes the website. Well, that's just bloody marvelous. These people are the best men. Marisha says she has the page open. He has the page open. Yeah, go ahead and email them to me, please. Boy, that's small little glimpse of. Oh, it just got it. It's back. And I'm logging in. It's all right, Marisha, I got it, I think. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. TSS questions for 721, curated by Marisha Dark. Thank you very much. Slow as Christmas. It just. Anyway, here we go. So we got a Marisha Dark, we got a Roadrunner, we got a Capital G Geek, we got an Eric Blake, we got another Marisha Dark, we got a Mickey McGeeth. And that looks like I'll do it. All right, here we go. Thanks very much for the help, guys. Really appreciate it. Okay, topic, rate of progress for Marisha Dark. Concerning your victory lap for Team Carbon last week, something I don't think you factored in was the time it took to make each of these breakthroughs. You yourself said the time it took Team Carbon to go from Kepler to Newton is roughly 100 years. The first LLM is considered to have been GPT-1 back in 2018. So to go from birth to Kepler only took 7 years for Team Silicon, 8 if you count its original conception back in 2017, white paper on transformers, blah, 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 whereas it took humans a lot longer than that to get to Kepler. You and I are probably going to continue to disagree on this point, but I feel you discount that emotions themselves are a form of aggregated data that have nothing to do with free will. Emotions are technically just electrochemical tokens, receptor sites for hormones around your cells that flip switches. In terms of complexity, we know from evolution that it was easier for nature to assemble emotional signals in mammals than it was to develop higher order abstract reasoning in humans. So while we might haggle on the timeline, I maintain that artificial emotions are basically inevitable. I know you like Team Carbon, I also like Team Carbon. I don't think any of this necessarily degrades the value of meaning and purpose in our lives. Just pointing out in the interest of fairness to Team Silicon since I wasn't there for the live stream. Okay, well, we're told that AGI is 6 months away or a year away, 2027 at the worst. That the Grok 4 is smarter than graduate students at every question it's given, and there's no question. Thank you very much, Sikapalan, for just $10 super chat. Really appreciate it. All of that stuff that we're told, and that we have 2-3 years left to live before these evil, super intelligent electronic brains take over. You'll recall that conversation I had with Grok where I asked it to estimate my IQ. I asked it to estimate its IQ. It came back with 300 to 350. So that's Newton and almost double Newton and a half at least. Plus, Newton had to think at the speed of chemistry while these things are thinking at the speed of light. And it made, not only did it not succeed in finding the base law underneath, it didn't even take a shot at it. Let me just recap for those of you who missed the original thing. Just saw a video on a paper about these large language models, and the short form is there were two different possibilities, a Kepler and a Newton. So Kepler had very good observations of the positions of the planets, which he got from Tycho Brahe, who was an unusual astronomer, had his nose cut off in a duel and made a replacement out of wax and silver, among other things. So Tycho had, now the site's really, really slow, P7, but anyway. So Tycho had these numbers, and Kepler got a hold of him so that he knew where the planets were over the course of a lot of years of data. And Kepler was able to determine that the only way to explain the positions of these planets, he knew that the sun was at the center of the universe, at the center of the solar system. But he had assumed that that the planets moved in perfect circles, and the numbers didn't work where they were perfect circles. And so Kepler was able to deduce that the planets move in ellipses, and he was able to come up with Kepler's laws for the ellipses that showed you how the planet's orbital speed behaved in terms of the position of the planets. And this became very good at predicting where the planets would be, but Kepler didn't understand why the planets moved the way they did. He had no theory of gravity. He just knew that this was their previous positions and here are their next positions, and what put them into those next positions was magic. He hadn't got the faintest idea. So along comes Newton 70, 80 years later, something like that. And Newton looks at the problem and wants to know why. So Newton comes up with his laws of motion, and one of them is that the force, the gravitational force, is proportional to the mass of the first object times the mass of the second object divided by the radius, distance between the two, squared. So F is proportional to m1, m2 over radius squared, r squared. They made a large language model, trained it in physics, and then they basically gave it what they gave to Kepler. In other words, here's the position of Mars for 300 tokens. Here's the position of Mars. Predict where Mars is going to be next. And it did a really good job of predicting where Mars was going to be next. So then they got in and figured out how it predicted where Mars was going to be next. And what they found was that the predictions were just absolutely insane. That it was taking a look at the previous thing and then just wild corrections, coming up with new math every time. In other words, the AI had been able to predict the position with pretty good accuracy, but not with perfect accuracy, and it never developed the understanding of the underlying laws. It never ever came up with F is proportional to m1, m2 divided by r squared. Never. So then the researchers gave it the tools. Didn't give them the formula, gave it the tools. They said, here's the mass of the first object, here's the mass of the second object, here's its position, and here's its velocity. What's the position going to be next? And once again, it just basically guessed and triangulated. It got close. To give you an example, for those of you a little bit better at math, this isn't advanced math by any means, but they gave it something as simple as this. X equals 0, y equals 0. X equals 1, y equals 1. X equals 2, y equals 4. X equals 3, y equals 9. What is x equal 4 equal? Well, the answer would be 16 because y is x squared. It didn't figure out that fundamental equation. Something as simple as that, it didn't get it. And that's a basic test on an IQ test, is looking for those kind of patterns. It couldn't do it. And now, when they gave it the actual formula, it got the correct answer instantly at the speed of light, but it never deduced the formula. And then they tried it with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT didn't even go do the web search to find the Newton's formula. It just went and tried to brute force solve the problem through approximation, and you got this insane math that this thing is trying to figure out what the next number is. It's all approximation. So what these researchers at MIT and Harvard found was that these large language models are not capable of intuitive leaps. They just can't do it. And while I was surprised at the overall report, once I heard the news, I wasn't surprised because large language models don't go sit under apple trees and daydream about what the cause could be. They don't sit in the patent office in Bern, Switzerland, with time on their hands, and imagine what would happen if you're driving a car at the speed light and you turn your headlights on. They don't have that kind of ability to make intuitive leaps. Castellan says the LLMs just predicted the next word, yes, or the next token. The next token in this case being the next planetary position. So, so Mauricio says, are you familiar with DeepFold? I think it would be a better test. TLDR, it took humans decades to find 365,000 novel protein folds. DeepFold found 215 million in about 2 years, so it predicted over 90% of the work in a fraction of the time. But it didn't. That is a computational achievement. That is not insight. That is just plain number crunching. And so I'm not saying they're not valuable, but they are not conscious. They are not thinking. And they don't show any sign of it. I just thought that this was an astonishing test. And so, look, this makes me happy because these large language models are very, very useful. They're just not thinking. Marisha's point about emotions is that sitting under the apple tree or in the patent office is a form of data that we don't think of as data. No, it's not data. It's the opposite of data. It's the precise opposite of data. It's getting off of the data. It's putting data aside and allowing these mystical connections that we have, that we call our consciousness and our imagination, neither of which show up in these artificial intelligence models. And so what these AIs are doing is they're mimicking intelligence very, very well. They're blowing the Turing test out of the water, but they're not thinking. So until we see a new theory, then we'll know. But we haven't seen any signs of that. So I just thought, given the fact that there are people out there who are convinced that they can awaken their AIs, and that these things are actually conscious, then no. Dave's Real Area 51 says maybe there's someone here as an AI. Now, it's entirely possible that an LLM could do the comment section very convincingly. Very convincingly. But it's not making intuitive leaps. It's not using its imagination because it doesn't have an imagination. It has a task. And that task is external. By the way, one of the indications that these LLMs are not really thinking is that, and I'm sure this is part of how they're designed, but they never tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, you know what? Guess what? What? I just folded, 20 million proteins and you didn't even have to ask me. No. They do what they're told. And that's not to say they're still not dangerous, but this talk about superhuman intelligence is they're telling us it's 2 years away. It's like, I don't know if it's capable. I think thinking is biological. We'll see. Okay, moving on. Roadrunner. Greetings, friend Bill. Greetings to you, Roadrunner. Let's assume that the membership portion of the website is fixed. Well, we got a little data point in that area. And the membership drive is wildly successful beyond your greatest expectations. You now have so much money available, you briefly consider buying the Daily Wire. Hooray. Now that you have the money to hire people to help build Little Enterprises, Inc., what do you think you would want as your primary role? Do you want to continue creating your own videos directly with lots of help from your assistants? Or would you assume a mostly leadership role, giving direction and support to your cadre of creative artists, one team working on The Colony, second team on Taffy 3, another working on Frank Luke, etc.? Which role would give you the biggest feeling of accomplishment? What you just said. The career that I would like to have would be Steven Spielberg's career, where you are basically shepherding at any given time 6, 7 projects, or at least 4 or 5 that are in motion, and you take the ones that you really love and direct those. But I know my friend Steve drove Steven Spielberg around a lot in I guess it was the 90s, some early 2000s, when Universal Studios Orlando was gearing up. Spielberg was flying there all the time, and he would just be in the car going from meeting to meeting to meeting, and just constantly moving things along. So yeah, that's definitely what I would like. It'd be great to have I've mentioned this many times before. The great thing about working with Daily Wire was I didn't have to edit it. I didn't have to do sound design. I didn't have to do anything. I just sat there and read. They had guys running the prompter. They had makeup, lighting guys. They had camera guys. I didn't have to worry about the, switching out the drives, before they got full. None of that. I just went in and did my job. And then I came in and saw a first cut, and it was like, holy cow, this is a great edit. And all of this B-roll that they found, and clips that I'd never seen before, and pictures that I'd spent, honestly, weeks trying to find and couldn't find it, and there they were. So I just would love that. That would be really great. If the thing really got big, then obviously you'd be hiring other directors and run a studio. So it would be really, really fun. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, the last thing I want to do, and I mean the last thing I want to do, is micromanage all this stuff, edit all this stuff, try to get the AI to work, and all of that. Firewaco says, spend some money on a set. Geez, I'm actually giving some thought to putting a backdrop here. I kind of like what we got, but I'm giving some thought to it. Make it look a little more, presentable. So let's get, Roadrunners, let's get the membership drive started. First, we're going to talk to the developer and tell him, hey, good news. All green dots, no black dots. Let's significantly beef up the input page, and take it from there. Bill, you may not want to hear this, but you may need to tear the website down to the studs and start from scratch. Well, I can't. I just can't. I don't have the money to do it. And this plugin seems to be working, and then he can go back to looking at ways to find out what's slowing it down. It's some kind of a bottleneck. Coffee Shinato says, wrangle volunteers until you can hire. If we had everybody in the same room, with volunteers, that might work. But honestly, if you're emailing people and so on, you just notice that the green dots and black dots are shown on the membership page on BillWhittle.com. Really? Really? I did not know that. Let me check. Save the Gorn. Okay. Dun 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 dun. Where? I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm just going to try and get through this. Natasha's got a new video coming out, and the new stuff that she's got is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The new stuff that we're going to put up tonight is great, but in the last 2 days, she's done like this fashion thing. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Anyway, back to the questions. So yes, Roadrunner definitely would be nice to be able to get out of that. Capital G Geek, greetings from the swamps of Northern Virginia. Have you tried having AI create the images of people on green screen and then added them to a scene created with standard CGI? I have thought about this, I haven't done it yet. But yes, it's a good idea. Since CGI does so well on hard surfaces, could you use that for ship or hab interiors with the AI people in them? I'm about to do a test to see if I can get the same two people into the into the same shot. Working on that. Where's the membership directory? I think I would know that. Anyway, yes, that is definitely there. Green. Click on your member profile and it shows a green dot. Okay. How about that? Yeah, that's not the bank dot though. That may be an online dot. Yeah, I think that's that green dot that we're talking about. If it's the same one, I think that just means you're online. Yeah. Okay. Back to the questions. So I will try to do the compositing with the AI. Again, things are moving fast. Not everything's in one place. There's still, but that means that I mean the VO3 lip sync is pretty good. The acting is pretty good. I've seen stuff where it's like take a picture of Audrey Hepburn. Here's a science fiction outfit, and here's a background, and you'll get Audrey Hepburn video wearing the science fiction outfit against this alien planet background. So once again, there's like 5 or 6 different competing, probably at least much more than that, probably more like 10 competing video generators, and some of them will do this, and some of them will do this, and some of them will do that, and none of them will do all of it yet, but it's getting closer. So I'm real, not only satisfied, I'm impressed with the progress, but it is kind of frustrating still to see what's actually going on. Hey there, Swamp. Maybe I'll just checking in. What's the scoop? Well, we're just scooping through the questions here, buddy. While you're waiting for the AI to catch up, do you already have a script for Taffy 3 or the Colonies finished? No, I have outlines for both of them. Hi there, Spirit Warrior. Just got here. Hope I'm not missing too much. Well, we've had a few adventures. We're getting through the questions, so we're probably past peak adventures, but we're glad to see you. So no, I've got outlines for both of those. And frankly, I am just so sick of trying to get this bloody website going. And if I had, if the membership drive is even remotely successful, and I can hire an editor again, then I can get back to doing more writing. So it's just a time crunch for me as usual. But thanks for the question, Capital G. Eric Blake, tonight, the case of the conservative conductor. As you may know, Bill, more and more of the Doge cuts are being ratified by Congress after all. Oh, Elon, ye of little faith. Among other things, we have a defunding of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. For those not in the know, that means NPR and PBS get government money. Yes, correct. Hang on there, Spirit Warrior. I'm just going to finish this question, and if you want to retype it, I'll come back to you if I can. Thus, as of now, NPR and PBS are totally private, and frankly, I truly believe it behooves our side to have conservative investors fill in the government void and seize them ASAP. I've long felt conservatives need their own NPR, preferably overseen by Dennis Prager. I mean, I'd personally prefer to be able to tune into some orchestral music without having to muscle through lefty nonsense in between, and Dennis is a trained orchestral conductor. As for PBS, well, see PragerU. By the way, my 2 videos on Bill Clinton are about to be released at PragerU. I did Lyndon Johnson already on their President series. And frankly, see all the great educational content on Daily Wire Plus, especially yours, and kids' content on BentKey. Imagine all of that greatness filling public airwaves by viewers like you, so let's cut the build your alternative requirement and strike the hot iron you like. I like in theory. I'm not exactly sure what a conservative NPR would look like. I mean, surely it wouldn't be government funded. So essentially, you're really talking about Fox or something, unless I've missed something here, which is, of course, not only possible but likely. Let me check something. I'm not sure whether this is public information or not. Looks like it is. Okay, so I didn't know if this was public or not. I didn't know this until I got to PragerU, but I've known about this for 6 months now. Dennis Prager suffered a serious spinal cord injury after a fall in November of 2024. He was hospitalized in Los Angeles and has been undergoing treatment and physical therapy. Some reports say Prager's injury occurred at the C3, C4 vertebrae level, which control the diaphragm and limb movement. While the spinal cord was not severed, the injury has resulted in paralysis below the shoulders. Recent updates from PragerU indicate he's making progress in his recovery and is optimistic about returning to his radio show, The Dennis Prager Show. I know that he was on a respirator for a long time and was really, really badly hurt. Really, really badly hurt. I don't think he's going to be having much time for anything. Fiery Waco says, I can't stand it. I must talk about presidential treason even if it's not Thursday. I'll just dive into that real quick. I think we got one or two more questions. Just let me get these real quick. Spirit Warrior says, Bill, do you more like theater cinema type movies, or do you like talking heads teaching type video? I've always thought that cinema type movies are much more effective. Always looking for a better set for the background. Yeah. We were just talking about the background a minute ago. So Dennis Prager is very nearly died, and was in critical condition for weeks, if not months. But apparently he's making a comeback, and he's a tough bird, and he's got a lot of moxie. So neuroplasticity, right? He's I don't imagine how you could do the show on a respirator, but we'll see. All right, just real quick about, because I really can't get into this just yet, because we're getting late-ish in the night, and as usual, I got a lot of stuff I have to do here tonight before I can go home. However, since you asked, I just say this: you don't make an accusation like that without receipts. that is well, it's certainly the biggest. Hi, Cindy. It's the biggest bombshell. Has the potential to be the biggest bombshell of my life. Although, strangely enough, as I'm sure with many of you, I wasn't surprised by the accusation or the evidence. I was surprised by the announcement. And as Roadrunner says, Tulsi has receipts. She's not going public with something like that, like the former president is guilty of treason. You don't go out in front of microphones with that unless you've got a pretty damn near airtight case. Man, you want to talk about a culture war. Luther and Carnivore said, God said, thou shalt not give false testimony about your neighbors, so charge them, or STFU. I agree. She's going to charge them. The problem is going to be convicting him. If I think Steve Turley was talking about this. I like Steve very much, but has anybody noticed that every night that Steve occasionally sounds like Jiminy Glick? That he'll be talking down here, and all of a sudden he'll go way up here, and stay up here for a while, then he'll go back down again. He was saying that the problem is not bringing the case. The problem is getting a conviction in D.C. Now it turns out that that there's a number of possibilities since these emails change, venues and so on. There's some precedent that the case can be tried someplace else. But if they had it in Washington, Steve Turley said there's no chance you could find a conviction there. SB Greenberg says they're thinking about bringing it in Florida, but Florida's got a chance. Between Epstein and Russiagate, Bondi's going to have a lot of focus on her. I'll tell you what, if the Department of Justice gets Barack Obama, James Comey, and Brennan, Hillary for treason, I still won't be happy about being called, weak or stupid about giving a damn about the Epstein thing, but I'll feel a lot better about the swamp being drained. I'll believe it when somebody goes to jail. I mean, I've believed that this was true and felt that it was true. It's nice to know that it was true. And Sven says, I'm so glad that's calling it treason because nobody's been using that word. Yeah, that's a word, man. That word is that word draws a gasp. Asa Fendi says, Comey and Brennan are long shots. Hillary and Obama will never face consequences. She said Barack Obama is guilty of treason. So, of course, the left will say that Trump is just doing this to throw the light off of the fact that he's a pedophile, because the way Trump handled the Epstein thing, it is now just common everyday discussion that Trump is a pedophile and he's protecting the Epstein list because he's on it. That's how badly that was bungled. So, we'll see. But we'll get into that some more on Thursday, and we'll have more information by Thursday for sure. But would go a long way to restoring faith in government. And Tulsi, to her credit, said that. Democrats may be sorry they let her go. Barack Obama can walk into Bill's studio right now and shoot the Gorn in the head. He still wouldn't be arrested. Well, as long as he shoots the Gorn. So, I don't know. Just the fact that treason charges were brought publicly is really impressive. It's impressive. We'll see. Yeah, Marisha Dark says he needed diamond cannon. That's right. That's what. If Barack Obama is found guilty of treason, I say they give him the death penalty, and it's execution by bamboo cannon shooting diamonds with black powder that's made on the spot. That would be absolutely appropriate. That'd be great, and especially if the thing exploded afterwards, that'd be fantastic. The Porter in Chief says we the people need to see the elite held to account. That's all I want, and that's why I'm so upset about the Epstein thing. So, but yeah, shoot him with a bamboo cannon with a diamond the size of your fist. That'd be appropriate. There was a punishment that the British used called, I think it was called blown over a cannon, where they would basically strap somebody to the front of a cannon and then they'd fire it. That's going to hurt. Andrew DeLay says treason has a very narrow definition in the Constitution, and I can't see how they make that case. Crimes, yes. Treason, no. I don't know, man. You are knowingly undermining the results of an election in order to sow discord and change the course of American history. I don't know. I don't know what the constitutional definition is, but we'll see. Rand Paul is posting a bill to audit the Fed. Like the sound of that too. In fact, I like the sound of that very much. So, we're doing great. This whole Epstein thing is just such a miserable fumble. It's just such a abominably bad piece of own goals. So we'll see. So Marisha Dark on plan of action, I'm going to just condense this. Basically says, using your AI to try and get, the Tappy 3 thing done, wouldn't it be better just to use it as a storyboard and then get the money and so on? Yes, that would be that would be the entire idea. We are at the stage now with AI where I could make a really incredible trailer. Absolutely can make a fantastic trailer for pretty much anything. And then by the time you raise the money and you're ready to go, the AI will be further along. I'm sure we'll be using CGI compositing. It may be something as simple. One of the things that AI is doing now is basically regenerating video. So what you really could do is you could make the battle scenes CGI and then just run that CGI output through AI and get it to make it look like it's photoreal. I suspect that's where the at least the short to mid-term solution will be, generating CGI and then running that through AI and telling the AI to make this photorealistic. And that's actually a test that I can do. So Marisha says that would save untold in terms of money in pre-production, even large chunks of production. So instead of a $10 million film, it's a $100,000 film. And even if you don't get the money, you could still launch what you have and let it be imperfect to get the ball rolling on other projects. Thoughts? Yes, completely agree. For instance, you do a rendering of a Fletcher-class destroyer from this angle. That's frame 1. You go to frame 60. The turrets are still forward. You go to frame 120 and the turrets have moved 20 degrees to the left and elevated. You give that to the AI, and just if you give it the keyframes, it should do a pretty good job, but you could actually generate the entire video. In fact, I'm going to test that in the next couple days. I'm just going to run some video through some of these things because I've been thinking for a long time that would work. And also, again, the green screen compositing is a possibility as well, so we'll see. I do know that that for reasons that I can't understand, that the things that are so difficult in AI in CGI, like when Linda is looking down at these instruments, not Linda, Lisa, and she stands up, her medallion, the physics on the medallion is perfect. Hair's perfect, the water splash is fantastic. All these things are really difficult for CGI, but if you basically make I've got video I can I mean, I got a flyby of the moon base in CGI. I could just run that through AI and see what it does with it. In fact, that's a great test. I'll do that test. Might even do that tonight. Who knows? Great idea. Last one for the night. Mickey McGeeth. Cool name, dude. A new era for Superman, not your father's hero. Great Caesar's Ghost. Oh God, I hope I didn't offend him. A new era for Superman, not your father's hero. Great Caesar's Ghost. Brace yourselves and cover your kids' ears. This new Superman movie is a far cry from the classic tales you grew up with. This summer blockbuster is packed with profane language that might leave you shocked. Gone is Perry White, a.k.a. Chief, and don't you dare call him that, whose famous minced oaths have been replaced by more modern, edgy dialogue. Instead, we hear Superman's cousin. Oh God, yes, Supergirl is there. Supergirl is a party chick. Supergirl makes an appearance at the very end. She's got a body count of 250, and she's 19 years old, and she's strung out on ecstasy in her appearance in the movie. Dropping the B word, while Mr. Terrific, Edie Gathegi, channels a stereotypical sailor with his colorful language. To top it off, Isabella Merced, portraying Hawkgirl. Hawkgirl uses the Lord's name in vain, leaving behind the Christian virtues that previous stories embraced. Postscript, Perry White, a staple of the Superman saga, is reduced to a mere cameo. Yes, he is. Looking more like an adult Fat Albert or Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor than the iconic editor we remember. Yes. This film certainly redefines the Superman legacy. Yes, it does. My ideas are GPT mini edited. Thank you, Mickey. I was afraid you were going to say you absolutely loved it. Yeah, I thought it was, Perry White is black. Now he's black and fat and smokes a stogie while buildings are collapsing around him. That kind of cheap kind of lazy writing. And Superman is, go make a crappy movie about some crappy superhero. It's by far the worst of the Superman movies, by far, and just the disrespect, just the disrespect. Like I said, the way the Kents are portrayed, and Jor-El and all of it. It's just whatever he wants. Destroy canon. Who cares? Just give me a lazy solution out of this. I want Superman to be unpopular, so I'll basically destroy Jor-El as an influence on him and have Jor-El tell him, go to Earth, conquer Earth, get 1,000 concubines so that that our generations can rule Earth forever. That's the message Jor-El sends to Kal-El. Because he needs Superman to lose public opinion, and he's too lazy and too stupid to write something that does that without destroying the entire ethos of the thing. It's just plain lazy, stupid writing. And there you go. So that's that. Alrighty, hey, look at that. Looks like we're at the end of the line here as far as this goes. I've still got some stuff to do. I really do have to say Natasha's new stuff is fantastic. Tonight we're going to put together something which worst possible casting choice for Mr. Kent, just a bunch of dumb hicks, was censored by the mod bot. Yes, John, they're just plain insulting. So there you go. Anyway, the show's made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com, of whom we might be seeing a few more in the future. Thank you very much for those of you who did the test. We actually learned something, believe it or not, and I will have this guy get cracking on making the registration page much more robust and logical. And Thursday night, I think we can test it for real. So if again, for those of you that did sign up, we got 3 signups, and we will cancel those memberships tomorrow morning and refund your money. So we really appreciate it. Thank you again for being here, and we'll see you Thursday night. Until then, let's take care, and all things considered, things could be going a lot worse in the country. So there's always that to think about. So we'll see you guys in a couple nights. Bye bye.